Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I started without my coffee, so I can't have that. A glorious life is good mug. Because it is. That's why. Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. So glad you're with us this morning. Hey. Good morning, John. Good to see you. Hope things are well on this steamy day. It is high summer, friends. It is high summer. Good morning, Donna. Hello, everyone. Good to see everybody. Hey, Jamie Battles. There she is. Dun, dun, dun. Very nice. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you this weekend. How are you, friends? Got one or two people coming along, and we'll get going. How is everyone this morning? Hope you're doing all right. It is hot out, man. Woo! Woo-hoo! Good morning, Yvette. I saw you at breakfast. Very nice. All right. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Linda. Good morning to you. Glad you're here. Welcome today. It is the 13th day. It's the middle of July already. July's gone. Bye-bye. All gone. So it's the middle of July on this, the 13th day, this Wednesday. I'm glad you're here. Cecile, good morning to you. Hope you and Kristen are doing well. That it is a beautiful, steamy, hot summer day. That we have the chance to gather and to be together and have this little moment. So I hope it's a good one for you. I want to start out this morning, just talk about probably the most central call in the Bible. It's kind of, the story is kind of a trunk up until this point, and here it truly begins to branch and become a tree. It is this call of Abraham and Sarah to leave home. And so I just want to read you this, the beginning of the 12th chapter of Genesis, the very beginning of this. And God told Abram, "Leave your country, your family, and your father's home for a land I will show you." So Abram left just as God said, and Lot left with him. Abram was 75 years old, and when he left Haran, Abram took his wife Sarai and his nephew Lot with him, along with all the possessions and the people they had gotten in Haran, and set out for the land of Canaan, and arrived safe and sound. So this journey, this setting off for the land of Canaan that Abraham does at 75 years old, by the way, for all of those who think you're too old for a new adventure, is in fact, I think, one of the most, it is the thing that changes everything. This one call, that this invitation to Abram that I will make you a great nation, set off, and he does. That, and I think one of the powers of the spiritual life, one of the things that contending with this Jesus guy, this being in relationship and with life and with church, one of the things that it can give us is this reframing and this new way of what it means to set off, because we set off all the time. We wake up in the morning, we slide our feet into our fuzzy bunny slippers, and all of a sudden we are set off on an adventure. Now we might fall down in the hall, we might trip over the dog, we might manage to make it to the coffee pot and come alive. Coffee. That we may find our ways to all manner of things, but it is a setting off just to leave our pillow and to move into the world. And that this, how we understand that, how we frame this, how we seek for, how we encounter the new adventure and the next adventure is, I think, everything. One of the great, and how we set off, like really the departure of these moments, this moment of departure, because it can be filled with fear. It actually probably should be often filled with fear. Not that we fear tumbling down the hall and making it to the coffee pot, but that anything that begins, that has a call to a new thing to us should inherently can be anxiety producing, and probably should be anxiety producing. But I've been getting into Chesterton a lot lately because Chesterton is just so rich, and he's such a guy for our age. So you'll probably hear more of him. He was writing in the 1920s, but he was really 100 years early. Like the words he has for the world in the 1920s are way more applicable to the world today, I think, or at least as applicable. And so he writes this. He says, "An inconvenience is only an adventure wrongly considered. And an adventure is an inconvenience rightly considered." We're filled, our lives these days can be filled with inconveniences, things not working out the way we want them to be, that we're getting to the coffee pot and there not being any coffee, getting to, being in relationship and having our heart broken, being, looking for work and job and not having work, looking at the world and just seeing how nutty it is and our anxiety going through the roof. That there's a million inconveniences we can encounter today in the course of our living, and yet, if we rightly consider them, we can enter them all in adventure. Enter them, every one of them can be an adventure, can be a Bilbo Baggins getting ready to go leave the Shire, as Tolkien might talk about it if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. I mean, his book, which is about this unassuming little guy going on an adventure, which is which is the single archetypical thing that we're all called to do every day, is our willingness to step out into the world and adventure. That the book itself, that the book The Hobbit begins with these words. It says, "This is the story of how a Baggins had an adventure and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected." How, friends, can we find ourselves doing and saying things altogether unexpected? There is great promise in it. Just like the call of Abram and Sarai, who get new names. We get changed in the process. We get made into new people in this process. This is the promise of Christ. This is the promise of the Christian walk. This is the promise of the spiritual life, is that we will become new by finding ourselves doing and saying things altogether unexpected. Maybe you can set down your sadness. Maybe you can set down your anxiety by living into courage. Maybe you can set down your loneliness by stepping into the adventure of relationship. Maybe you can offer up your loss and your grief by stepping into the adventure of connection. There's something in us that calls to it. There's something in us that, and something in it that lauds it. This is the thing. That this isn't just a notion but this is these adventures, these stepping off, these setting outs lead us to everything. And and even in just our waking every day, we recapitulate it. In our return to the temple every week, in worship, we return to the sacred. We go on a journey that will take us from home and lead us to our destiny. Well, those are C.S. Lewis's words. Some journeys take us far from home, and some adventures lead us to our destiny. I wanted to show you this part of my office today, but this stuff behind me, that all these little things on the shelf. It dawned on me as I was preparing for this that every one of these little tokens here are really a token about an adventure taken. What we end up memorializing in our life, what we end up keeping as sacred tokens, what we end up holding as dear in our lives, are the moments, what we hold up as the sacred places, are the moments we set off. They're the moments we set off to a new adventure in our life. And that we're willing to open to something bigger and something larger and something more and something unexpected in the movement of our days. Every one of these little tokens on there, whether it's the down here, let me see if I can get it right. Oh boy, there's a lot of angles here. So anyway, in the whether it's the little painted type of the church in Warren and the adventure that we had in our time there, whether it is the adventure of me setting off to Iraq to be a minister there, whether it is my call, which John so lovingly, whether it's kind of my call story, which John so lovingly offered, and the token of the scripture from Matthew, and whether it's the this is one of my favorites, or this one I think is just lovely. This is the little coin that was put out for the 400th anniversary of the Pilgrim Journey, and they're setting off for a new world and to make a new life, which they made for every single one of us. We cannot overstate the power of what happened in 1620 with that little group of pilgrims and how they changed the world and your lives and my lives and everything in it. And that every single thing that I look at this little wall over here, and I recognize that every little thing is a commemoration of a setting off, of a going on an adventure. And that's not organized by me. It's not like, I said, I'm going to have this wall of how I figure out how to set off. It is just an example of how the fabric of the universe and the fabric of the world works. That we are born and built for suffering, because we're just made to suffer. We're born and built for adventure. And that inherently in the course of adventure are there going to be trials. Inherently are there going to be difficulties. If you remember, Abraham sets off with Lot and Sarah and Sarai. A lot happens to Sarah. A lot happens to Lot. Maybe you remember that, and a lot happens to Abraham. This journeying, this gift of the adventure of life is an invitation for us all to set off into an adventure. So I want to ask you today, in the world of, in Chesterton's language, to reconsider the inconveniences of your life. Reconsider the things that you think need more comfort, or need more correction, or need to be made better. And instead of that, I start to consider them perhaps as a place to enter into adventure. Maybe you're not healthy and you need to get your body put back together. That's an adventure, friends. Maybe you're aging and you feel like you're losing capability, or you're losing effort or emphasis in the world. Rightly considered, that can be an adventure, both both of letting go and trusting God, but it can also be an adventure of what you offer and what you memorialize, what you offer to the world, those you love in this world, how you move into that sphere. There's no, what I'm just saying is there's no, we think about this as a thing for the young. We think about setting off as a thing for the young, and we get lazy, maybe too aggressive a word, but I think we get sleepy in our remembering that every single day we push our feet out of the bed, we slide our feet into our bunny slippers, we set off on a grand adventure. We set off on a journey on a story, as Tolkien might say, of how a Baggins had an adventure and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. Friends, consider the inconveniences of your life right now and see what might be wrongly considered as an inconvenience is actually an adventure waiting, is a call from God waiting for you to leave everything you know and go out into the world to a promised land where you will be made a great nation. All right, folks, this is my hope for you today. This is my hope. I'm so happy you made this. I'm happy I made the journey to Fall River too. I was just saying, you just read my mind, Linda. I was just saying that to somebody. About how much this grand adventure of this journey and this chapter is just unfolding, and the richness of it. So yeah, thanks for saying that. It is. Jamie is right. It is never too late for new adventures. I hope, friends, you will take a look at those inconveniences. Take a look at those things that you think are stumbling blocks and realize that they are actually doorways. They are actually new paths for you to enter into and consider as the grand adventure of your life. And maybe, just maybe, are they your actual call from God. All right. Peace and grace, my friends. We will pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.